Come on, come on. Oh, gee. My phone, so I'm on both, and my computer is just having a spasm. All righty. Geesh. So yeah, again, if somebody had the PowerPoint, but if you don't, let me, oh, you guys are really, Jody, can you get a screenshot here so we can see who's on, who's attending? Yeah, minimize where you're. Can't do that, so can't do that. All righty. So I'm going to take another run here at the PowerPoint, guys. Otherwise, I don't know. I'll just try.
Turn the volume down.
I'll try talking.
How do I do that?
Sorry. Hi, this is Beth. I just had a quick tech question, but I don't see anybody in either of the breakout rooms. What should I do?
Sure.
Can you hold on, Beth? Let us get the meeting going for all the folks that are there, and then we'll jump in. I'll jump into the war room with you.
Close. Oh, great. I will wait.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we're okay. There we go. Oh, this one is September 20. Okay, good. I got the dates right. All righty. So let me get back here. We got our co-host. All right, I'm going to share this. Okay, all right.
We're in business. All right.
Yeah, ignore the date there. Didn't update from the last one, but we'll be okay. All right, I need to put it in slide presentation mode. It's sputtering, but it, no, okay. Whew. Okay, it's been a little busy this morning, guys, so I wasn't able to get this started earlier. And so I do apologize for keeping you waiting, but thank you all for attending the training. So can everyone hear me okay? If anyone can't hear, let us know. Otherwise, we'll start. Yeah, just to for those questioning why you got an email for this training, and you might have seen that training or the we had closed the recruitment, or there were no need for additional poll drivers or call center volunteers. It was because we recruited or had a lot of people. So are you able to see the admissions, Dave?
Yep.
Yep,
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
taking care of it for you.
Yeah, I saw that one hanging on. Yeah, so well, it's we had a lot of people sign up, and we still have a lot of people that are sort of in the queue. But we realized that you know, we needed to open it up again to, get some additional people involved. One of the things I'm going to say from the outset, though, and please don't take this, take it in the spirit I'm trying to give it. There have been rides provided to voters to the polls for decades. In fact, Souls to the Polls is a historic tradition that began during the civil rights movement in the 60s, where voters would go to the polls on Sundays. They would all get in their cars and they would drive together to go vote. Probably after the Voting Rights Act, when they had the legal authority to vote. Usually you show up at a church and someone gives you a written piece of paper or something, and you head out to pick the person up. But this process that we started in 2020 during the pandemic, and that we've continued since that time, requires a more virtual process, which you're on now, kind of a virtual Zoom. Zoom blew up during that time. And we relied on that technology to set up our operations. And at that time, we actually used Lyft to do most of our rides. So our call center would schedule a Lyft ride to go pick people up. Since the pandemic, we have brought on volunteers. And our program is volunteer driven. I mean, you're the engine of our operations. You're the face of the program as poll drivers, as call center volunteers answering the telephones. So the operation requires a little more technology than it did when you were picking up slips of paper at churches. It requires you to have some adept skill at using an app for your telephone if you're a poll driver, to get an app, to be able to walk through the process of the app in order to see your voter and your polling location that you're going to take that voter. So you need to be comfortable with that. Maybe have had some previous experience working with an application process, but feel comfortable that you can manage that process. If you're working in the virtual call center, there are two things that you can do there. In order for us to have rides for our poll drivers, we need to find voters that want to go vote. And those voters, of course, are not showing up at one central location where you can zip by that location and they're all standing there waiting to jump in your car. They're all at their homes, scattered throughout the city. And we have a hotline we ask them to call. We do promotion, we do advertising, we do Facebook ads, we pass out leaflets, we do door-to-door, and we make outgoing calls to the community to identify rides. You can make those outgoing calls. We have a couple of people using their phones. I don't necessarily, that's certainly not a requirement to use your phone, because if you use your phone, your number is out there and someone's going to call you back, probably at a time you don't want to hear from them. But we have a computer-based, an internet platform that you can also make outgoing calls on. But again, you need to be comfortable with using operations like that in order to be able to make those calls effectively. But that's one thing you can do, and you can just make the calls. And if you identify a ride, you could pass that on to someone. Or if you're in the virtual call center, you can do two things. You can identify rides with your outgoing calls. You can take a call that would come in on that computer platform from someone who's calling you to schedule a ride. So you can get your rides that way. But again, you need to be comfortable doing that. And when you get that a rider or voter who wants a ride, then you can go on another platform. It's our dispatch platform. It's called Taxi Caller. And on that platform, you can enter the data from that person, their name, their pickup location, usually their home, and the polling location they're going to be taken to. So that information is entered in this, again, another internet-based platform. And so your computer called a comfort, you need to operate with that in order to do that effectively and efficiently. And so I say all of that again to just try to give you an overview of what the expectation is. And I think the biggest thing for either of these functions, whether it's poll driver or whether it's the call center, is attention to detail. Meaning that, and I, screw up royally. Lately, I forgot to put the number in. Well, if you don't get the number, that's very important that we have the voter's phone number. Having the voter's phone number allows the poll driver to call the voter to let them know that they're coming, but to also be sure that that voter is still there and is ready to go at the time they said they were going, so that we don't waste time going to their home and finding out that they're not answering either the phone, they're not answering the door, they may not be there. And so we do say to poll drivers, give it 10 minutes to connect on the phone with that voter. And then if you can't connect, then move on to another voter. So I wanted to say that so that if any of you feel that anything that I've said makes you uncomfortable in terms of doing this operation, we understand. Clearly, we understand. But if you want to move forward, then I want you to move forward with the understanding that you are the face of our operations. And our expectation is that we may be pretty busy on election day. And we've been trying to work out kinks during early voting when we've had a steady flow of calls and rides, but we haven't been overwhelmed with them. And we know that on election day, that's the last day that people have the opportunity to vote. And they have to be in line to vote by 8 p.m. If we don't get them in line to vote and they've called us for a ride, it's on us if that voter does not get the chance to vote. That's a big responsibility. In April, when it was raining heavily there in April, things were very slow. We got our last voter to the polls 4 minutes before it closed. It was such a nail biter because most of our poll drivers had left the shift by then. And we had this woman who had been waiting a couple of hours because we were delayed, but we managed to get her in the nick of time. And that was because we had a very experienced poll driver, and he was able to make that happen. He was able to complete his ride, pick that ride up, and get over there and get her to her location in time. And so that's the kind of energy we need. We need you to be sort of self-starters on this because things are going to be moving so fast. It's going to be really difficult to manage if we have to both let you know that you're on the schedule, but you haven't shown up. You haven't checked in with us to let us know whether you're showing up or not. Those are the kind of things we've been working through during this early process. And we want to make sure that we're all on the same page as we move forward. Everyone that is still here, we can get into the training. I'm not hearing any dings. Okay. All right. I hope you you know, appreciate that that little speech was given, you know, not to chastise. I hope it didn't sound that way, but to just let you know that it's very serious for us at this point, and we just want to be sure that we're all working together, because we can do this if we're working together, and we can make a real mark in our little space towards the margins that's going to make the difference in this election. Thank you. All right. So free rides to the polls. That was my welcome. So I've never given a speech like that at the beginning of the training before. So it was a little different kind of welcome. But again, we so appreciate everyone who gives of their time and their resources, giving of your car, the gas that you put in your cars, and the electricity that you're using at home when you're doing the call center work, you know, the time that you take on this. We so appreciate that. And so we do welcome all of you to our free rides to the polls program. So the agenda overview, we've completed our welcome. I'm going to introduce the free rides program, the phone system we're going to talk about. I'm going to try to zip through the free rides introduction piece, get us into the phone, the operational aspect of it, which is the phone system and our taxi caller system for booking your rides. And then we'll talk about the war room, which is an important connection that we need to get you to make. And then we'll open it up to questions and answers following that. So quickly, Souls to the Polls. You know, as I said, the name is a tradition. It's a tradition going back for 60 years. But it's our operational program of Pastors United, which is our parent operation there in Milwaukee. And we started in 2013. We focused on the African-American and Hispanic voters, but we serve the entirety of Milwaukee County. And we also will have operations mainly on election day, although we may have a sprinkle of rides in Racine and Kenosha. But we absolutely want to have drivers stationed in Racine and Kenosha on election day. We are a nonpartisan 501c3 organization. I'll explain why that's important and relevant. And our emphasis is on advocacy and the importance of voting. So we want to really create a community of every election voters in the African American and Hispanic community. And you know, we're not quite there yet, but we feel that we've been making a difference year after year after year. And for critical elections like this, you know, we do have significant turnout and involvement from the work that we do. Our free rides to the polls program provides free transportation to any voter who wants a ride. Our founder, Reverend Lewis, came up with this slogan: "We don't take sides, we just give rides." That's important because we are a 501c3, meaning that we are a nonprofit organization. And if we were partisan in the sense that we only would take Democratic voters or Republican voters or any specific party, that would jeopardize our 501c3. So when you're talking on the phone, or if if somebody called you as an example and say, who should I vote for? Well, ma'am, I think you need to call the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, or you need to go on this website or that website, but that's not the kind of information we provide. Now, we do have a point of view, and we can talk about issues. So one of the issues, of course, on the ballot this time is a referendum for a citizenship type referendum, which isn't going to impact non-citizens. It's going to impact citizens. So citizens are going to be showing papers to prove their citizenship if that referendum passes. And so, and it's a way really to impede elections. People are not able to, vote freely. And so we're asking everyone to vote no on the referendum question on the ballot. We provide rights again to all voters, regardless of their affiliation. We avoid discussing specific candidates, but we can discuss issues and our fear of where the country could be headed, things like that. But be as general as possible if you're going to talk politics at all, or you can discuss other things. Direct voters to official resources for information that can help them in making a determination about their vote. The free rides to the polls program, the operational aspect of it is our virtual call center where we're booking rides and we're signing drivers to those rides there. So we're taking inbound calls, we're making outbound calls, and we're going back to our voicemails to follow up on missed calls or people who have just left us a message during our off hours. Our drivers provide rides to voters. They pick them up at their home generally, and they drop them off at home after they've gone to a polling center that we've identified that they can take them to. Now, sometimes you have to make decisions in the moment, like this last few days when they've been long lines at polling stations. Some drivers have gone to alternative sites in order to be able to get to through the line. In our operations, we have a gentleman who you'll meet, Dave Anderson. Dave is in Chicago. I'm actually in Metuchen, New Jersey since last year, so I'm no longer in Milwaukee, which shows you the virtual nature of this operation. But the operations is to keep our systems and our tools running, and Dave does a magnificent job on that. Because we're going to have so many volunteers, both in the call center and driving, Dave can only stretch so far. So that's why we really want you to, and that's why we have these tech sessions as well that we'll talk about again later. But we want you to be able to really use your tools effectively, and but any assistance, we're here to provide that as well. We support the call center and any issues that drivers may have as well to sign in and out of their application, or to resolve issues that may be happening in dispatching those rides. The role of our schedulers in the call center is to work from their personal space using their personal equipment. So you're working from your home or office on a computer. We suggest that you use both a computer for your operations and a phone for the war room that we'll talk about. And I'll explain later why that may be important to do. The computer is really important for the taxi caller dashboard. It cannot be worked. Now you can use an app on your phone for the Telsio system, which is a hotline. I'm not going to recommend that either. So I think both of these work better on the computer, but the taxi caller system definitely has to work on the computer. And the scheduler is going to be doing outgoing calls to schedule rides. And we're trying to pre-book as many rides as we can. And we're certainly encouraging people to early vote, but we're also pre-booking for election day. You confirm and update the polling locations for election day. So the only concern you have to be, the only time you have to be concerned about the address and the polling site is on election day, and myvote.gov will give you that polling site information. There are 180 polling sites, so that information is an online process. But you'll find in a Google Drive, we will give you, you will find in there a PDF file or document of all of the early vote locations and a map of those early vote locations, because during early vote, the voters go only to the selected early vote locations that have been identified. The role of the driver: use your personal vehicle. Be sure that your insurance supports putting individuals in your car. So we ask you to be sure that you have the correct insurance coverage for that. And you use your cell phone with the Taxi Caller Driver app. And Dave is going to talk more about that in his presentation. And we're offering door-to-door round trip transportation. That's essentially, okay, excuse me here, I got off track. That's, the essential element of it is you're generally picking them up at home and dropping them at home. You can drop them at another location, but you can only drop them. You can't, you take them to a grocery store and wait for them to shop and take them home. You can drop them at a grocery store if they want to be dropped there and it's in around your route, but you're not going to be driving miles to take them to some drop off, except in the case that if you're picking them up at home and they're going to work, or you're picking them up at work, but they may be going to home. Generally, when you're picking them up at work, they may be at a location on the south side, but they actually vote on the north side. But their home is going to be close to where they vote. So when you drive them back to the voting location and drop them off, it's going to be pretty much, in the vicinity of that location. But that initial pickup at work might be a distance away, but we do pick them up at work to take them to vote. We're handling the needs of passengers that might have mobility issues, but they have to be able to get into a car. We do have another side operation where we've got a wheelchair accessible van, but for your role generally as poll drivers, the individual has to be able to get in the car, but they could have a walker, or they could be on a cane. And so, you would be picking up, and we would identify that if they have a walker. If you don't feel that you can put a walker in your car, then that's a driver or a voter that you should pass on. Okay, let's see here. Let's keep going. Sorry about that. My thing is stuck. It's going in the wrong way here.
Hi, Norma.
Hello?
I'm Norma. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, are you working?
Hi. I am. I'm signed in and available, and
Okay.
so, but I am also signed in to do the Sherman Park thing. So I didn't
Yeah.
know if we were.
I'm sorry, can you go into the war room? Can you go into the war room breakout? We're in a training right now. So do you see
Oh,
the
okay.
war room on your phone? If you could click that,
Yeah.
and Jody will help you. Thank you.
Okay. I don't see the. Okay, but I'm just available. I'm sitting here available. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, all right, that's good. Thank you.
So, okay. Okay, bye.
Bye. So again, the platforms and the systems that we operate is the phone system is Telsio. It's in the call center. So for call center volunteers, you'd be using Telsio to both get calls and make calls. For polling locations, you're using the myvote.gov, again in the call center, to check the address and identify the appropriate polling location. For the ride dispatch, you're going to be using, the taxi caller dashboard, and both the call center and drivers use taxi caller. Drivers use the taxi caller app, and you're going to be using in the call center the taxi caller platform that goes on the computer. So again, we need to enable you as volunteers with our training, with our tech sessions, with information, with the resources to make you confident as possible in doing your job. And I've always hesitated using the word job in this work, but when you sign up to volunteer, I think you recognize it is a job that you're signing up to do, a role you're taking on, and we want you to be as confident in that with our training, with our tech support, and information we provide you as possible. So we're going to be as granular as possible about the experience you're going to have, so that you understand what you're signing up for, to make you as efficient in booking rides, because again, you want to roll through that process as quickly and as efficiently and as accurately as possible. So you want to be as speedy as possible, but you want to be accurate for first and foremost, because the information you put in that platform is going to appear in the driver's phone, and we don't want them backed up wondering, where's the phone number or whatever. Now that may happen; it's not your fault, but just so you check your work. So we want you to feel supported. We want you to be successful, and we certainly want you to be safe. In any situation where you feel it's not safe, then either don't go or get out of there as quickly as possible, because your safety is paramount. So we want the voter to become a promoter of our services. That's what we've experienced over the years of doing this. They're saying, great things about us. It only takes one person, and we've had some people that we've not, fulfilled their needs. And so, they've said some things, but it hasn't impacted the program. Generally, our voters are not only happy with us, but feel like we're really essential in their ability to be able to vote. I think we've sort of gone through this, but the essential focus is to book transportation to the polling center, to modify or cancel those bookings if that's necessary. And so we're going to talk about that in terms of the inbound calls that you might get to do that, or even those outbound calls that you're going to be making to book those. So I want to sort of move into that. Now, I'm not going to pull up the Telsio system. I have a demo that I will share with you actually before the tech session on Wednesday, there's a tech session, 5 o'clock for poll drivers and 6:30 for the virtual call center. And if you're available, even if you start your operations, if you start work earlier, you may want to come into the tech session to hear the questions others are raising. Sometimes when someone raises a question, you think, oh, darn, I didn't think of that, but I need to know that. And so sometimes, it's really good. And we work together in that way. I've learned so much. I tell you, my computer skills have improved significantly from just learning from other volunteers that have more experience than I do. So I'm not going to go through that demo, but I'll share that with you, and then we'll definitely walk through the demo in very granular detail when you come to the tech session. But you're going to be logged into telsio.com, and you will use a username, and that will be and password for that. You will be sent an email that will tell you you're signed in or signed up for Telsio. Create your password. So you create your own password with that system. And once the password is created, you can log in. Generally, your username is going to be the first initial, and these are generally all in small case, first initial and your last name together. If your last name is short and won't accommodate, because the system has to have at least 6 characters, then we'll add a 2 or something like that for your username. So I don't know what this white thing is on my computer. You guys see that? I've got a Telsio call. I'm going to decline.
We still see the PowerPoint, Norma.
Okay, and you don't see a white thing over it? Good.
I don't.
Yeah. It's something from my system trying to get my attention. Oh, please. Yeah, there you go. Okay, for your login for the taxi caller, your login is one you're going to, kind of do a Google search to find a taxi caller, or you can put in your browser, login taxicaller.net/user. If you do the search, you're going to see owner and user. You want to be sure you click on the user. And the login is your company ID, which is SOLS, all in small letters. Your username, which is your first name with your the initial of your first initial of your name is in caps, underscore, and your last name, first initial is in caps, but it's your first name underscore your last name. And the password is S, small t, and a capital P. A lot of times we have people unable to get into their system because they don't capitalize the P, and it's 2023 exclamation point, and frequently you're leaving off the individuals are leaving off the exclamation point, and so that is why they can't log in. But it's but this information is in this PowerPoint, which you will be given. So you need to refer to that, and we need you to refer to it first when if you're trying to log in and you're having a problem, refer to your PowerPoint first and be sure that you got everything correct. If it turns out you do have it all correct and you still can't log in, then reach out to us. But quite frequently, you're going to find if you check your PowerPoint and you check what you're putting in your computer, that you've got something that you've made a misstep on. So with the rights to the polls, this is just a look here at the dashboard. This is where on the left side of the screen is where you're going to be entering your data. You'll be able to see, okay, I need you guys working on the admissions. I got that one. Okay, I need, okay, you're going to see the a map of the area, and you'll be able to see all of the cars that are on the schedule that day. But we'll go into more detail on this, but this is just kind of an overview. Kind of see. And then the jobs overview is where you can see all of the bookings that have been made. So you can see how they're all lined up here. This will represent all of the bookings that have been made. This link here in the PowerPoint, at the bottom of this page is the link to the demo. Now, again, I will share that demo with you separately and give you another source of getting that demo, but you can also find it in the link here on this page, which again, you'll have access to this. Okay, some tips for you in the virtual call center. You want to open up, can somebody give me the time? How am I doing on time here?
It's 12:45, Norma.
May I interrupt to ask a question? I'm an active driver.
Are you a driver?
Yes.
You're currently on? You want to, do you see the war room breakout room on your phone or your phone or whatever? It says war room breakout.
It says join breakout room. This is Jody. Who is this? I'm just trying to figure out what's gone on while I've been in the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go in there.
Yeah, thank you. So in the virtual call center, yeah, she's in the breakout.
Get it canceled. I'm doing 3 things right now. So
Yeah, am I? I'm not in the breakout room, am I?
yeah, you are.
Darn, how did that happen? Why is it just dropped? Oh. Yeah,
Give it a minute.
yeah, I'm sorry about that. You know, I got myself into the breakout room, unfortunately, for some reason. Let me explain to you guys what's going on here with this. When we've got one Zoom account, right? And it turns out, and I wasn't aware of that until it happened here. We have a Zoom room that's open, or a Zoom session that's open every day. It's called the War Room. It's where we all meet up with, questions. So you've seen drivers have been coming in. When our call center workers go on shift, they will come into that site. I sent out a separate meeting link for the training. But as it turns out, even if the link is separate, it still goes into the same account. So the one account can only accommodate one meeting. And
yeah,
so,
Norma, I can show you sometime how to create separate ones, but yes, it is set up that way currently.
okay, all right. Well, see, I'm going to learn something else before my next training. So yeah, please. So, but you want to open up 3 tabs in your, I think 3, there may be some others, but anyway, we're going to talk about the 3 main ones. You're going to open up your taxi caller. We suggest opening your Telsio last. Your Telsio is where you're going to get your calls coming in, and you want that, you want to be ready to take those calls when you get that opened. So you want your other sites open first, your taxi caller site, your My Vote site. Get those open and all ready for you. Open up your your Telsio site as the last one, and then put that in system in play. And again, we'll talk about some of the things you need to do when you open that up. But
Norma, do you mean to share the PowerPoint right now, or do you want to share screen? Because someone was asking about the PowerPoint.
Are you not seeing the PowerPoint?
No, I think you'll need to share it.
Oh, gee, it went away then. All right, let me figure out what's going on here. And I'm not seeing. Okay, yeah, let me get that back in play. Right. Let's see where- Okay, so here we go. Now you can see everything?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I talked about the browsers. The War Room, again, I explained, is that link that we'll send you, or I don't know if you have it already, but if not, we'll send that to you. But the War Room link is the link that you'll sign into. And we just labeled it that. Someone came up with that name in 2020 when we got started. We knew we wanted a way to connect with each other. And so we just labeled it the War Room because that's where all the action is happening when people are working, you know, in the virtual call center. And if I say virtual call center link, or if I say War Room link, they're interchangeable. So it's the same. It means the same thing. It's where our virtual operations occur. So you're going to use that same link each day. So put that link someplace where you can find it. I have it in my calendar. And so when I go open up the calendar, I can see the link, I can click it, and I'm in. The recording, now we just interrupted the recording when that snafu happened, but I'll either send you this recording or one recording of the training session again, so you can, you know, use it on demand to kind of go back through it if you want to refresh some things. But you'll have the demo too, so, you know, you'll be overwhelmed with links and recordings. Again, we've talked about the War Room and the importance of that. Yeah, it's I really would like virtual call center volunteers to check into that. You know, and you don't have to stay on it. You can close it down. When you've checked in, you come back with your questions. It's not something you have to keep centered, but I usually keep it in the background. Some people, you know, prefer doing that when they're on shift, to just keep it on the side. If you decide you want to do that, again, we suggest you put it on your phone, because one, there are two things you want to do. You want to mute it so that we don't hear you when you're on the phone talking. But then if you've got your War Room link open, you could still hear us talking in the War Room unless you turn off your speaker. But if you turn off your speaker on your phone, on your computer, you cannot be heard by the callers, you know, call outs you're doing. But you need to turn that sound down if you want to keep that link open. And you can do that easily if it's on your phone. You can turn the sound down, and you can still keep your speaker open on your computer for your calls. So that was the purpose of that. The last date again for a tech session is going to be this Wednesday, October 30th, 5 p.m. for poll drivers, 6:30 for the virtual call center volunteers. And then we have car magnets, excuse me, that help identify you as a Souls to the Polls poll driver. And again, that's so that individuals coming to your car can feel more comfortable and trust that you're the person that's going to give them the ride they've requested to vote. And so you can pick up those car magnets from 1 to 3 on this Thursday at the Amalgamated Transit Union. That location is identified there at 734 North 26th Street. It's at Wells Street. The gentleman that's going to be there to provide you those, his name is Mark Westerfield. And so just talk to Mark when you get there at Amalgamated, and he'll give you your car magnets. Now, you can also call him, and I'll share that number if you can't pick them up there, you can call him, and he'll try to make arrangements for to get them to you or to have you pick them up at his home. So that's another option. But on election day, we're going to have a hub at Amalgamated. So at this same address is going to be our in-person hub. So as poll drivers, you'll have some place to go. Now the call center, you're going to be at home. So that's, not necessary for you to have that address. But for poll drivers that are out and about, you'll have that address. And one of the things that it'll be important for that location is that we'll have flyers there at that location. And I'd really like you to pick up flyers at that hub that you can carry with you. One, we'd like you to carry them to the polling location. Make sure that the polling locations in your zone all have flyers with our number on it. Because what it's been reported is that sometimes you'll have people show up at the polling site and learn that it's not their correct site. Well, they've taken a bus to get down there to the polling location, and now they've got to go someplace else to vote. And they're thinking, oh my Lord, now I got to get on the bus again. I got to get back home, And so they asked if they can get a ride, to do that. And the polling workers have frequently asked for our number to be able to give that to voters that need it. So we want them to have those flyers so that number is there, and they can right away give it to anyone. And we will go to that polling site to pick someone up and take them to another polling location. We've also picked people up at a polling location to take them home. So we've had disabled. We had the other day a blind gentleman who had gotten to a polling site, and he was, sort of wandering around about getting back home, and we picked him up. So we will do that as long as it's connected to voting. If it's helping someone who's voted or who needs to vote, we will help get them to home or to another polling location, and then get them home. Okay, so that's, and then the other thing we're going to have at the hub, we'll have snacks and refreshments at the hub. And so if we find out that there are long lines at polling, because the other day there were lines up to 2 or 3 hours, that's unusual for Milwaukee. And people were leaving the lines, one, because they were just tired of waiting, but sometimes they may leave the line because they're, want a snack or they need water or whatever. And so we want you to pick up snacks and water at this hub, and then you can take those out to sites that, you may drop someone at a site and see that there's a long line. And if there's the case, you can come down and get some water and take that back to those polling locations. Now, I really am pretty much booked for tomorrow's caravan, but I am looking for a few people, maybe, three or four people. So if anybody's interested in the caravan, put your name in the chat. I may not be able to accommodate everyone who may be interested, but I'll certainly reach out to you to get you the information about the caravan. The purpose of the caravan, we've done this before, and it was such a great event and a great success in the 2022 election, the midterm elections, I believe. We did it. But the caravan starts again at Amalgamated Transit. It drives through the city down 27th Street, and then it goes over to 60th and Capitol, one of the early voting sites. The 60th and Capitol early voting site replaces the old Midtown site. And the Midtown site had the largest voting turnout during early voting in the entire Midwest. So it was a hugely successful early voting site that was closed. And we're trying to turn the Capitol Drive Voting Center into the same kind of, success in terms of early voting. So, but driving through the city with our poll driver stickers on the car alerts people, one, to the program and that voting is happening. There's voting going on in this city, and we want to let people know. So anyway, I've finished my presentation, and we can open it up to questions here. And just so you know, yeah, we got about half an hour for before the poll drivers come in for their training. So we got plenty of time here to ask your questions. Did I lose every?
Norma, which way do you prefer to be contacted if we have to contact you with a change in your schedule or something? What's your
Okay.
preferred way?
Your change. Okay, there are a couple of things about the schedule changes. You'll have the link to Google Drive, and the schedule is in that drive. You go into that schedule and you can make comments. Now, you're not going to be able to change the schedule yourself, but you can tell me what you want changed. So you can make comments in there. That's the best way to start with that. If it's something very detailed or confusing or whatever, the preference is that you come to the war room, and we're open there, every day. We'll be open every day now until election day, including election day. You can come there, and that's really the best second way to get to me.
Thank you.
Hi, I threw this question in the chat at the beginning, but I filled out the schedule. How will I learn what I've been assigned to do?
Well, one, when you feel like you, now, are you in the virtual call center or are you a poll driver?
I signed up for both, wherever the need is.
Okay, well, let me just tell you, you may have gotten an earlier form, because what I've sort of experienced through the process is that we really need to choose one or the other. It's your choice. You make the choice, right? But I will tell you that we need virtual call center volunteers. Everyone wants to drive, but you can't drive if we can't create some rides, right? So again, there's no place you're going to show up with a bunch of people waiting to jump in your car. These people are at their homes. They're, and we have to go and we got to dig them up. Again, we can put the word out, and if we don't put the word out, we're definitely not going to get calls. So that's why we advertise on radio mainly, because we know when we advertise on radio, we can get calls. If we don't advertise on radio, we're done. So we need that piece of it. But we also need to make those calls. We need to try to reach people. And it's, and you have to make a lot of calls, because, our experience is we don't answer the phone if we don't recognize the number. So a lot of people are getting our calls and just not answering. We do leave them a message, though. And so some of them will get that message. And if they want to vote and need a ride, they'll have that information and they'll call us back. But we try to go through enough calls. And we've got a new list of that we're calling. They're older people, they're seniors. That's our main audience for rides. So we're going to make calls to them and see if that'll be a better hit for us, because some of the calls we've been making so far haven't been real successful. Now we're always absolutely successful booking rides of people that we've offered rides to in the past. So when we call them back, each election and say, we took you to the polls last election, can we get you there again? We're really successful with that. But these other lists, meaning that, you could probably in a few calls get someone on the phone and book a ride. But the other list, you're going to make call after call after call before you finally get that person that says, I want a ride. And so that's why we're trying to build that up so that we can get enough rides to make it worthwhile for poll drivers to be out there.
So is there a second form I should be filling out I'm just a little confused about what the next steps would be.
Well, are you willing to be a call center, a volunteer, or you want to be a driver?
Either is fine.
Then I'm going to go in and I'll make the correction from your sign up sheet. I'll put that on the schedule. So then you go into your Google Drive and I'll try to have those up by Monday or Tuesday. You can go back into that Google Drive. The form you gave me will have you then on the schedule. It has to be transferred from that form to that schedule. And you can go back and see that you're on the schedule. You need to show up on your schedule. So once you see that I signed up for Monday at 12 noon, you know, I got my link here to the war room. Oh yeah, I'm going to check in there because there's so many people on board. I'm not going to be able to call you and say, Louise, I got you on the schedule on Monday. You're going to be here? I just won't be able to do it. I've done that in the past, but unfortunately I'm dropping the ball because I've got so many people and I can't tell you, you know, so if you don't show up and I don't see you, then, you know, I can't reach out to you and try to shake the bush. So I need you to, you know, either check your schedule or keep your information someplace where you can see it, where you know that, oh, this is the schedule I've signed up for. And, you know.
I had a similar question. So I'm hearing you say what you really need is call center people, not drivers.
Right. Yes.
Okay. And so I had signed up on one of the versions of the forms to do either. So if you just change me to call center, I'm happy to just do call center. I'm not very good at tech, quite honestly, but I'll do my best to learn.
All righty. Let me ask the question then. So then I'll know how to handle it when I go in and open up the sign up forms. Any of you that have signed up for both. Now, if you signed up for just one, you know, if you signed up for a driver, I'm not going to switch you to the call center. You're going to be a driver. But if you signed up for both call center and driver, are you okay if I put you exclusively in the call center?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions after somebody's.
Yeah. Anybody who doesn't want that, who says, oh, I signed up for both, but if you're going to make me one, I want to be a driver, then I won't make that change. So you would need to let me know. But if there's anyone else who you know is okay with me switching you only to the call center if you signed up for both, I appreciate that. Stephanie, you've got another take on it.
I couldn't find the raise hand thing. I guess it's different. I am in Illinois and Wisconsin because I know people in both places, and I'm going to be in Wisconsin for the majority of like next week on. So now I want to obviously be a call center. I didn't even realize I could do that from Illinois. But like you said, I put both. And so if you need a pinch hitter for driving to the polls, I can do either one. But yeah, I guess is there, I know you were saying there's files and things. But I just need to get better acquainted with this year's Wisconsin vote stuff. So I'm gonna go to like my vote, myvote.wi.gov.
Yeah.
I know Milwaukee relatively well. I've done souls of the polls like at different events and stuff as far as signing people up. So I guess what I'm saying is, as of like sometime next week, I can do either one, and I'm not sure if we're going to be like loaded with people on the polling day,
okay,
or anything.
Well,
So.
one of the things that I will be doing, there are a couple of things that I will be doing for our Illinois people. I will be reaching out to Illinois people to find out who's for the drivers. I'll be trying to identify drivers that are willing to be stationed in Racine or Kenosha on election day.
Sure.
Because you know, normally our operations is Milwaukee County. That's where our focus is. but
Right.
we've got enough interest in, well, we told we've got enough interest. Who knows what's going to actually happen?
I'll let you know when I call people.
But Racine and Kenosha is places that we want to have people stationed on election day.
Okay.
Now, prior to election day, if I get a call during early voting from someone from Racine or Kenosha, I will still try to find a driver that can do that. I've
Okay,
got a
yeah.
Racine person on Monday as an example, so I got to
Yeah, that's over an hour right now from there.
to
But
find
yeah, I
someone.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so some of our Illinois people, I will be asking for that, a place, but yeah, but the rest of you again, who are interested or willing to do, the call center, then, and then if you try if you do early voting and you try the call center and you just say, this isn't something for you, just let us know.
I cannot do blind call centering. Everybody wants me to do call center stuff, but I can do it for here because at least people have some interest and I'm not gonna, if that makes any sense. Yeah. So, and the other thing is I'm a snack person. If I brought like Aldi water and then I don't know what kind of, if I'm going to buy it and put it in my car if I drive. But what are good snacks to bring to a long line of sad people that can't get it that time?
I think there's something in a bag that they can open, so if you bring them chips or something. I think folks might be a little reticent if you brought them home baked goods or whatever.
No, I'm not. Yeah, but like, okay,
in a
so
bag
chips and
or,
cookies are okay, like bag.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
And if you get cookies, it's probably preferable to get them in an individual little small bag where you could just hand them the bag of cookies.
Oh yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to
It's
individual
just,
cookies.
those grandma's cookies from the vending machine or something. But I was just wondering because also, if your blood sugar's down, you're not going to be as able to think and things like that. So I was just more wondering if there's like a written war room, I guess, like where all of the handouts and basically everything I could access from Wisconsin, if there's a spot.
Okay, Stephanie, I will be following up after the meeting to get everyone all the information that they would need.
Okay.
So get a Google Drive with all of the documents in it you'll need. You'll get the link to the war room. You'll be overwhelmed with links. You'll get a link to a Discord channel. Sign up on Discord. Your resources are there in Discord that we've talked about. In addition to Google Drive, plus you'll be able to talk to other poll drivers or other volunteers that sign into Discord. You'll be able to ask questions of support. They can see that on Discord. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I talked to you the last midterm or something. So Norma, you're one of my heroes. Everybody in here is a hero. So I'm also working with Supermarket Legends. If anybody like before 12 or something wants to pass things out. And I'm done. So thank everybody.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay. Any other questions we can answer before we start our poll driver session?
I have a quick question. Should I attend the tech session on Wednesday before I do any virtual call center?
No, if you've signed up, if your schedule has you signed up to start before Wednesday, then come into the war room on your sign up and we'll give you a tech session there before you get started.
Yeah,
so I don't want people to have to wait till Wednesday if they're in the call center. We'll do a tech with you when you come in and then you can start, working, but you can do a tech right before your shift. We can get you, what you need, but you'll also have the demo. So you're going to have the demo and you're going to look at that because that'll give you, you could probably operate this just using what's in the demo. But the deal is that once you've gone through the demo, you'll be better situated to ask questions that you need in terms of what you didn't understand. I saw the demo and but what about, I didn't quite understand what that meant. You can ask those kind of questions and we can get to the nitty right down to what it is that would be holding you up.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Norma,
Mm-hmm.
Steve here. I signed up all of those shifts for the virtual call center.
Mm-hmm.
And I also indicated I could do both. Do you want me to stay for the taxi driver, or do you have enough drivers so that you won't need me?
How many people do we have on this call here? 32 people on the call. You know what I would say is this. If you signed up for both, if you're a virtual call center person, and that's what you're going to be doing, then I would suggest you could leave. But if you signed up for both, I would suggest you might stick around and just see what the process is like for pole driving, because one, that could solidify your, desire to be a call center, or it could say to you, I think I really want to be the pole driver. And then you'd already have it, so you wouldn't have to circle back. So I would suggest if you're still sitting on the fence between the both operations, you may want to stick around to just see what the pole driving looks like, what that requires.
Well, I've done it before, so I know what it requires. It's just whatever your needs are. If you're
well, I need the call
enough
center.
drivers.
So you make the decision, but I need the call center, and so if you can do that operation, Steve, that'll be fine.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. And I'm already signed up for all the shifts.
Okay.
Thanks.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I have signed up and indicated my availability, and when I hit submit, it says, please share your availability to make calls and voters and schedule rides. We will use your answers to make assignments. Please check all that apply. So I've tried again and again to submit and hope that you got my name. And
well, when you submit it, when you hit the submit button, it comes up on the screen. A picture would come up and a thank you note or something. So then you need to walk back through, because what usually happens, you can't submit if you don't answer a required question. So in the requirements, just say it's a question that doesn't apply to you. You still need to answer it, and you've got a not applicable that you put that use for that one, so you can get past that requirement.
Okay.
So walk back to your sheet and be sure that you have clicked on an answer, up or down or not apply, in all of the questions that says required.
Okay. I'll try for the 5th time. Okay. I'll try it again. Thank you.
This is Linda. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Question about outgoing calls. I've signed up to do a couple of shifts on the call center, and I'm wondering, I've got some time to do outgoing calls, like if I've got an hour or two a day that I could do that. How would that process work? Do I just jump into the war room and tell you I'm available? And is that list on Telzio, or where is that list of outgoing calls?
Yes. So you've not been in the war. You haven't done calls yet, right? So
no, I'm scheduled the first time this Wednesday.
Okay. Then when you get started Wednesday, you come into the war room, and we will walk you through the list you're going to be using, and the where to find the script you're going to use, and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So we'll kind of walk you through that. It'll only take a few minutes, and then you can get going. If you have questions about your systems, then we'll try to answer those, or we will answer those as well.
Got it. Thank you.
Just one question. I signed up and I'm going to be driving up from Chicago. I just wanted to see, is there pretty strong demand for pole driving on election day? I don't know that I got like a confirmation that I was needed, but I did sign up.
Okay. So what would you need to show that there would be demand enough for you to come up?
Oh, I don't know. You telling me, I guess, like, hey, we need people. So like, just, so like, because it sounded like in one of the prior answers that you needed maybe more calls, more people to make calls than like do those, like getting people to the polls. So I just wasn't sure like where the need would be most helpful. That's all.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The only way I can answer that question, John, is that because you're coming a long distance, I would say that if you feel like if you had to wait to get a call out to take someone to the polls, and maybe you only got 1 or 2 for that day, and you would feel like that would be unsatisfactory for your travel, then I would suggest you not come.
Okay, got it. Well, I don't think I'd feel that way, but it's between that and canvassing, I think, in Michigan. So like
Yes.
I think and are there other things like do you guys do like calling like on election day as part of the get out the vote effort? Like is there something if I wasn't driving people that I could do while I was up there?
We will make calls on election day. The thing about the calling on election day is that if it is really busy in the call center, we may not be able to make calls. So if there was somebody who was just going to make calls and not be in the center, that would be good. But otherwise, they'll have canvassing on election day. So we've got canvassing that, and they'll be identifying rides during that canvassing process as well, and just passing out.
Okay, got it. So it sounds like if I come up, I can be useful somehow. Well,
yeah, but if you've got a door-to-door operation that you can connect to in Michigan, that looks like it's on the fence there. All of these swing states are. So it's up to you, John, to figure out where you think you're most.
If I can also jump in, I don't even remember which organization this was, but on election day, the Pfizer Forum, the Bucks, I don't know. Sorry, I don't do sports, but it was an early voting site, and then it wasn't an election site on election day. So I was out there walking around Pfizer trying to find people. I think we got like 20 something people that we actually did catch because they were trying to vote where everybody had voted in the early voting. I don't know if that's part of this organization, but that's also something that might be useful.
Yeah. So Stephanie, you're telling me that during
the last election,
Supreme Court, or during the midterms?
2 years ago, midterms.
Okay. Yeah, but that was a federal election. So and there were people at the Pfizer Forum trying to get in to vote because they thought it was an election site.
It was an early election site.
I know.
And then they closed it on election day.
Explain to me, Stephanie, were there people that you guys gave rides to? That there were people that
no. I was just trying to catch people and tell them where to vote. Like I was going on
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked that question, Stephanie, I was trying to get clarification for that.
Okay.
Because again, we want to find every nook and cranny where we can get people. And what ends up happening, I mean, I don't know that this does happen, but I suppose it's a possibility.
Right.
The early vote sites, like MATC as an example.
Mm-hmm.
MATC is an early vote site now. MATC is near Pfizer Forum, which is why Pfizer may not be an early vote site for this election. But MATC is an early vote site.
Okay.
But it's not an election day site. So it's not a polling site for election day. Now, if people were going to show up there at MATC and find out it's not a polling site, and then they want to know where do they go,
right,
and how do they get there, it might be worthwhile if we send a driver over there to just check it out.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't the best place at night, but I mean, we walked in 2 people and kept walking around Pfizer because people didn't know which door and they were confused, and it was just really
But I'm
angering.
Just, I'm assuming that most of those people might have had their own transportation, so it would have been necessary for.
They were local,
same thing with MATC. So it may not be a worthwhile effort to do, but we might find someone who could just check out some of the early vote sites to just see if there are people milling around, and then they can always call us from there to the hotline and we can dispatch someone to assist.
Okay, I just wanted to point that out because it was just such a voter suppression thing in my head. So I just wanted to make sure that that was part of somebody's game. Like I said, Supermarket Legends or here, I'm not sure who did that, but
Norma,
I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Norma, that was
Thank
the
you.
same. Norma, can you hear me?
Yes.
That was the same problem on 60th Street. So in fact, we had a team of about 8 people there, and there were hundreds of people that we sent actually to polling locations. We would not only had drivers there, but we also had people. They were coming in. It was a steady stream of people saying, "Why can't I vote here?" And we would take them off, put them into a parking spot because they block traffic, and then we'd take down the information. We'd look up my vote. We'd get their address and send them off to the place where they needed to go. So that 60th Street place in the last general election and the one before that, both, okay? There were hundreds of people that showed up there.
Okay, all right. Well, this is the first I'm hearing of that. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, so it would be good to have a team of people at some of these spots, especially 60th Street, because now there's no parking lot, from what I heard from Bonnie Chang.
Yeah, no, there is a parking lot there, but it really doesn't matter.
Small. Yeah, it's
okay. Well, let me factor that in and see if I can see what we can do with that, because we could have. I have a couple people with vans. We could have a couple of vans over there, and maybe a couple of people who with a computer.
Yeah, I would say
a tablet or something. So that
probably 80 or 90% of the people were driving, but there were people that had taken a bus there, had walked there. One guy had walked
41 participants.
5 miles to get there.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So are we? We're running up on time for the poll driver session, and I don't want to eat into to that time. So everyone on the site now interested in poll driving?
In what?
Yes.
Are you here for poll driving?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or you're from the call center, but you still want to, understand the operations of poll driving.
Yes.
Okay. All righty. So we've got about 44 people on right now. And let me just say to you guys, we might have lost some people, but I want to say quickly, we're not going to know everybody who signed in here. Now, obviously, everyone who signed in, we've got your email address because you're here because we sent you something. I'm going to make sure that I have in front of you the sign-up sheet to put in the hours you're planning to work. If you don't complete that and return it to me, though, you will not be on the schedule. So I can only put you on the schedule if I get that information in that sign-up sheet as to when you're planning to work.
What if we already did that?
Yeah. Okay. So if you completed that, so and that's the only way I'm gonna know sort of who's on and who's not, because I won't get we don't have a way to figure out who's at the training today.
Okay.
All right. Actually, I might do some screenshots. So Dave, are you on? And does everybody, Dave, do you have co-hosting?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm on, but can you enable screen share, Norma?
Okay. Oh, gee, I didn't know I didn't have that. There we go.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have it.
And do I need to put PowerPoint back up for you?
Oh, there.
You got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. You were able to upgrade.
Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't have a place to sign.
No, that's another sheet.
Oh,
These are PowerPoints from today's.
oh.
Welcome everyone. I'm Dave Anderson. We got a lot of people on the call, but we're still gathering. So if you just bear with us for a couple minutes until everyone joins.
This is Zoom.
Yeah, if you can cover up the camera, you don't have to.
Norma, can I ask you a question while we're waiting?
Absolutely.
So I'm signed up to do rides on election day. I might be able to do some for early voting next week. Do you still need drivers?
You know, if you're not signed up for early voting, I wouldn't worry about it. I think we're probably going to be covered. Because now it's very slow for next week. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just asking. Thank you.
Can I ask a question of how, I know we're going to do this training, but how will you let us know if we're on duty? I did sign up for, the only time I could do it was Monday afternoon, this upcoming Monday, the 28th. And so how will we know if we're on duty or not?
Now, are you you're for poll driving?
Correct.
Okay. Then you need to, when you sign up for your shift, it's your responsibility to sign in and get to work. I'm not going to reach out and let you know that, you know, you can look at the schedule, you know, you can check the schedule and see if you forget what you might have signed up for. But once you signed up and put yourself on the schedule, it will be your responsibility to put yourself on shift. So when we talk, you know, through what that looks like, then you'll know what you need to do when it's your turn up. And when you put yourself on shift, and the reason that's very important is that when we go into the call center, and we've got all these rides booked, whatever it is, we've got, you know, a schedule of rides we got that day. And we're sitting there wondering, are we going to have poll drivers to take these people? Those poll drivers who are signing into their shifts will show up on the board. And then as they begin to populate, then we'll know that one, we're going to have enough poll drivers to do the work we need to do. Those assignments are going to go out automatically, but they'll only go out once you are signed into your shift.
Okay.
Norma, I don't think she's on the schedule. Mary, what day did you sign up for?
I thought I did for Monday afternoon. Monday the 28th in the afternoon.
Okay, let me see this. And that's the one day you signed up for?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Nella, some of these people they need to go through the training first before we start looking at whether they're on the schedule or not. Once you finish the training, then we'll move into that scheduling step.
Okay, that's what I wondered if that happened because I hadn't gone through the training. So I did try to sign up and thought it was accepted, but what do I know? This is my first time of doing this, so I wondered if that was the deal.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Noah.
What do you think, Norma? Do we got a quorum to get going, or do you want to give it another minute?
Yeah, why don't we give it another minute? Yeah, I
Okay.
think
We got 58 people.
that'll probably work.
Yeah, I had these problems.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So was somebody else letting people in? Are you letting people in, Dave?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, good. All right. So yeah, just so okay.
Norma, is there a phone number that I can call the war room and find out if they got my schedule of availability?
Well, Steve, I think okay, I'm going to ask if everyone would wait until Monday.
Okay.
Check your schedule.
Okay.
You can check the schedule, and you'll be able to check the schedule. It could be up as early as tomorrow, but Monday. Give me Monday for you checking the schedule. Assume you're on it, but check it on Monday to see if you are.
All right.
You would check your schedule again by going into your Google Drive. The schedule will be there, and you click on it, and you look at the dates and times that you've identified for yourself.
And you'll send us a link to the Google Drive.
And we'll send you the link to the Google Drive.
Okay. Thank you, Norma.
Okay.
And this is Bob. Just confirming what I heard. Once, as part of this training, we will learn how to schedule ourselves for trips.
No, what we'll train you on, you won't schedule your own rides. They'll be assigned to you, and what we're going to train you on is how to work the technology in the app to accept that ride and then complete it.
Okay. All right. So we'll be trained on how to find out when we're scheduled, where we're going, etc.
Why don't you just
Yep.
Okay. All right. Good. Actually, I'm in Illinois, and my son is Illinois. We both volunteer to do driving. Just I don't know if the rest of you folks are from Illinois or Wisconsin. So.
Wisconsin.
California. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Well, all right.
So, Norma, should we
yeah, you
dive
can
in here?
Yes, please.
Okay, awesome. So, my name is Dave Anderson, and I'll be kind
Even
of
though we're
leading.
starting late, will I be able to get it all in by 2:30?
We will get you the most important information by 2:30 for sure. We can stay on a little bit later if there's other questions for people, but we'll get you the key information.
But you can always come into the tech session, Mary, if you feel like you didn't get what you needed. So if you have to leave, go ahead and leave, and then try to be on Wednesday for the tech session to get what you felt you didn't get.
Okay. So our goal, thanks for everyone making time on a Saturday. Our goal today is just to walk you through sort of the process of how to complete a ride for the voters and the technology that's needed. And it's really just an introduction. We'll share a lot of information after the call. And then also, as Norma alluded to, that we have these things called like tech sessions that it's almost like office hours, but we can also set up like I do a lot of calls with people one-on-one just to walk them through test rides to make sure that they're comfortable with the process before they begin their first shift and give their first rides there. Okay. So hopefully after the next like 45 minutes, you have a pretty good sense of how this will work, or at least answer the first level of questions and go from there. So Norma, do you want to give a quick overview of Souls to the Polls? Or do you want?
Sure. Yeah. Souls to the Polls is a an organization. It's a nonpartisan organization that was started back in 2013. We're sort of rooted in civil rights history. I think many of you might recognize the term "souls to the polls," and it just simply means that in the 60s, when people in the South, it sort of comes out of the South, had more unfettered access to voting after the Voting Rights Act. The practice was to take a load of people to vote on Sundays to go vote. And so that term represents the program of our 501c3 organization. We focus on serving the African American community. As a nonpartisan organization, we are not, we're not permitted to sort of, talk about or endorse a candidate or a party. So we stay away from those conversations about, we talk about issues that affect our community, issues that affect the country. One of the issues, of course, we're talking about now that's relevant to this election is the referendum that's currently on the ballot. It's a citizenship referendum that's not going to impact non-citizens. It's going to impact citizens. It's going to require that citizens need to show some type of proof of citizenship. They may have to show proof of citizenship to vote. So it's really an effort to a voter suppression effort that will take away access to voting. So we're encouraging all voters to vote no for that. Dave, you want to?
Yep.
Handle the slides.
Yep, I'll keep going. So just by way of introduction, there's really three different types of facets to the free rides to the polls. We've got virtual call center. So these are volunteers that will actually book the rides with the voters. And then from that call center, we'll assign ride requests to the drivers. And then for all of you, poll drivers, that's sort of the lifeblood of the program of providing rides to the voters. We do round trip rides, so we pick them up, wait at the polling center, and drop them off. And then there's just a few of us, like Norma and myself, and Jody and a handful of others that are kind of like behind the scenes on operations. And we're just trying to make sure that we keep all these systems and tools up and running and support all the other volunteers as issues come up. So that's a little bit about the different facets of the team there. And really, our fundamental goal is to give free transportation to any voter who wants a ride to and from the polling center. We do both early voting and on election day. And, the nonpartisan, as Norma said, the nonpartisan organization, that's really essential. So, the slogan is, we don't take sides, we just give rides. So, it is important that we stay true to that. And I also just would want to emphasize is that at various points there's been some organizations that watch us or try to test us on how true are we to that nonpartisan. So we just ask you to just stay pretty disciplined about that. If anyone asks you about who should I vote for, or what's a good candidate, just stay, direct them to myvote.gov or other, public sites for them to do their own research for that. What I would also emphasize is that, as Norma was telling the call center volunteers, we used to use Lyft and Uber to provide the rides, but then from for a variety of reasons, we shift that into having volunteered rides. And I would say it makes the operation more complex, but it also, I think, has been a significant benefit to the whole program. It really is the one-on-one connection that like the drivers make with the voters, and just you get to spend a little bit of an afternoon or a little bit of a morning with people. And I think it's that connection is really made sort of the program special. And that's the feedback that we continue to hear. And we hope that you have the same experience with that. We talked about the nonpartisan, so we can answer questions about this if there is any other follow-up from that. So then, with that little bit of backdrop, I just kind of want to walk you through like the technical process for this and how to complete the rides there. So first thing is that we use a app that's supported by Taxi Caller, and we recognize that it's really meant for a taxi company and not for free rides for voting. So there's some terminology that may not always, feel relevant, but we're kind of, Norm and I have looked through the different offerings out there, and we feel like Taxi Caller meets our needs pretty good. So the first thing that we need you to do is just download the app. Now it's a little bit confusing because the older version of Taxi Caller there's Taxi Caller Passenger for like the riders, there's Taxi Caller Driver, and there's Taxi Caller Shuttle. We need you to download the Taxi Caller Shuttle, which is the latest version for that. Taxi Caller Driver is just an older version that they still have up on the Google Play and the App Store there. And one indication of what's the right version, it should be like 24.6 or like 24 or higher. If you see a version that's like 19, that's you're probably accessing like Taxi Caller Driver, which is the older one. Driver, the older version, still works. It just doesn't have all the functionality that we would leverage. So it's just best to just make sure you get the latest version for that.
So I have a question.
Sure.
So I have the Taxi Caller for Driver, and I have V24.7.3. Is that okay, or should I download the Shuttle?
I would download, if you see the Shuttle in there, I would download that one.
Oh, okay, I have the other. I'm going to check.
Okay.
I'll check.
And then with this, then when you open the app the first time, and Norma will share this information afterwards, but like they'll ask you for the company ID. It's Souls all in lowercase. And then we set up a username that's your first name underscore last name, and your capitalize your first and last initials there. So for Dave Anderson, it's Dave underscore Anderson.
John brought it over.
For individuals that have like hyphenated names or three names, so we sometimes run into trouble guessing at the right way to do handle the username. So just reach out to us if you're having a problem logging in.
Yeah.
And then
when I was in the shower.
Can I ask everyone to turn off your app, please? Please, mute your button. Can you mute so that we don't hear you?
I think we're good. Thanks.
Okay.
And then the password for everyone is FRttP 2023 ! S and P are capitalized. So, but once you sign in the first time, if you click on Remember Me, then you won't have to do this again for this. Okay. And then, I'm sorry.
Can you repeat that slower? S?
It's S, capital S, lowercase t, capital P, 2023 exclamation.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
Yep.
everyone will get the PowerPoint, so you'll have this to refer back to.
And if anyone's wondering why it's 2023, that's when we set up the latest version in Taxi Caller, and we have a lot of repeat volunteers. And so rather than having them update their password, we've just kind of kept the same one election after election. This is only really relevant for individuals that have an Apple, where within Taxi Caller, there's the mapping software just think of it as like almost like Google Maps or Apple Maps. So like it directions to a place. And so if, and when you get a ride, you can see that sort of mapping software kick in to give you directions of, how to get where the voter is. If you are on an Apple device, you may, have preferences for Google Maps or Apple Maps. This is sort of like a one-time thing the first time you sign in, of where you can go to your settings, click on navigation, and then select your preference there. But that's, again, like I said, for Apple, and the first time that you sign in. So then when you start your shift, or you're beginning your first serve, you're ready to volunteer and take rides. You go into the app, and you're going to see something that's right at the top, a button that says "Start Your Shift." For early voting, after you say "Start Your Shift," you're going to see a list of available vehicles. For early voting, you can just pick any one that's available. So just select all of them. For election day, we're going to have specific zones that we want you to support, and so we'll specify which vehicles for you to sign in at that time. Kenneth, do you have a question?
Yeah, Dave. It looks like Zoe and I got the same response. It says wrong user details. And it looks like Lois got the same one as well.
Me too.
You guys are not entered in the system yet. You're just in training. You're not in our system. You're not signed up. So no, you can't access your platforms until we
Okay.
pass the training.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
Good. Thanks for answering that question, because
All right.
I just tried signing on too. Sorry.
Yep. We'll get everyone set up after the training, and
Okay.
And
Good.
just to explain why is, normally I have gotten, hundreds of requests from people of interest. And we just want to make sure that, people are genuinely interested. And so if you show up to the training, then we know that, that you're going to, follow through. And so then we'll put you in the system. Otherwise, Norm and I are spending like all hours of keying people in that maybe never, show up there.
Got it.
Okay. So yeah, and on election day, we'll distribute out like the zones ahead of time, and we'll tell you which vehicles to sign in for. Those zones are still being worked on, and we'll finish them well ahead of election day, and we'll follow up with everyone who's volunteered for election day to make sure that you're aware of how that process will work. But if you've got shifts for early voting, again, just pick any car that's available, and then select it, and then start your shift there. Okay, so then once you start your shift, basically you don't need to, you're in waiting mode. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to click on anything in the app. you basically are waiting for a ride to be assigned to you, and it'll pop up on the screen, and it should make a like a dinging noise in the app, and it'll say accept or decline with information about it called job offer, but this is really the incoming ride for the voter. And so it's absolutely like critical that like you accept the ride, so that then we know from sort of the central operation and dispatch that like you're available to take that ride, and you're going to be on your way there. It will look a little confusing potentially to you that the pickup and the drop off will be usually the same address. Now, the way it works is that once you accept it, then you can see the third address, which is usually like if the standard thing is it picking up at a home, then the second address will be the polling location, and then the third address will be the home location. Now, in some cases, the pickup and the drop off could be different addresses, but in general, it's home location, polling center to home location. So that's why when you're at the stage of accepting it, it'll look like we're picking up and dropping off at the same location there. Laura, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, is there a place in Milwaukee you would want us to be coming from, the hub that Norma talked about? Or like, is there a timeline for how quickly you want people picked up once we get the notification?
So we assign the a couple things there. First of all, when the ride is scheduled, so let's just say it's scheduled at 3 p.m. today, we would assign it to a driver at 2:30. So it's always a half hour ahead of time to give sort of sufficient time for the driver to get to where the voter is. During election day, where you will be assigned to like a zone, it's probably best to kind of like pick different places just to kind of hang out within that zone, waiting for it, just because you'll be working like a specific neighborhood. And then and we'll also have we can share the details of the centralized hub that we'll have available for you to take breaks, or if there's food or snacks. It'll just be probably further away from where the zone that you're assigned to.
Can I ask if you would hold your operational questions until he gets to the technical part here? And
yes, absolutely.
Take those at the end, if you please. Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So again, at the start of it, you signed into your shift. You're just waiting. At that point, when you sign in, you're just waiting for a job to be assigned to you. Once it is, you'll get this notification on your phone and within the app, and you need to. It's really critical to accept the job there. At that point, like in the main screen of the taxi caller, there's job view and job queue. Those are the places where you can see the specifics of the ride request for you, and so you can see the details of the driver, the voter, the name and the phone number, and all three sort of addresses.
Chat.
Yeah.
And then it went away. Something happened to it. Oh, we're on mute till we get done.
You want to mute your
And then it
phone?
went
Oops. Vicky, could you?
I'm gonna mute everyone. Oh, you're muted, Dave. I'm sorry.
Okay, here they.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Dave, you have to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm back. Okay. So then, once you've accepted the ride, you'll have the voter information in this info area, and the call center volunteers have been instructed to put the voter's name and a phone number there. Before heading over, what we always recommend is give a call out to the voter and just introduce yourself to the voter, and then confirm that they're still interested and for the ride, and that you'll be there in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it may be, and just make sure that that's a convenient time for them.
Yeah, can I interject, Dave, on that?
Sure.
It's not a recommendation. That is a required step, that you make the call. As soon as you've accepted, you want to call out immediately to your voter, because if you can't reach them to confirm that they are still going, you are not to go to their home. So you give them 10 minutes to reach them. And then if you can't reach them on the phone, then you would cancel that ride. We would pick it up in the call center and then try to reschedule it for some other time so that you can keep moving. Okay.
Yep.
So you need to make that call.
Yeah, and just by way of context, we average about 20% cancellation, and from election to election, that's pretty standard. And a lot of times it's just things come up for the voters, so that's why, as Norma said, it's important that we just before you expend the time to go to the voter's location, we just want to make sure that that ride is confirmed. Then once you've confirmed and you're on your way over there, in the app, and when you arrive at the voter's location, pickup location, you want to click arrived within the app. And then once you're there and click arrive, again, you would want to call the voter to let them know that you're outside. And then be just coordinate of like, I'm just outside in front of your house, or I'm by the tree across the street, or what, just to give them indication of where you are and how you guys can connect, and then head over to the polling center. Once you're in once the voter is in your vehicle, that's where the next step is just to click POB within the app, which is just from a taxi term, like passenger on board. These sort of steps within the app are necessary for you to kind of complete the ride, but it also helps us from a centralized perspective to know where all the drivers are with the different ride requests and within the workflow. So you clicking it sends us like critical information back to sort of within the call center to know how the rides are progressing up there. So at this stage, the voter is in your vehicle, you've clicked POB, and you're heading over to the polling center. If they don't show up, and you can't connect with them, even if you confirmed the ride and you've headed over there, but then they don't come out, or before they, as Norma said, before you head over there, you can't get a hold of them. What you can do within the app is click cancel job, and then you can, you click that, you then can select no show. So in that way, the ride request is no longer in your job queue in the app, and then it's canceled, and then the call center, coordinating with them, they will try to call the voter back to reschedule at a later time, but then that frees you up to be able to get the next ride from there. So then back, that everything, in the case where it's working well, where you picked up the voter You're heading over to the polling location. Again, the next step in the app is to just click on arrived, and that means you've arrived at the polling location. There again, before the voter exits your vehicle, just make a plan on where you guys are going to connect after the voter is done. It's, I'll be waiting right here, or I'm going to go park by that tree down, right over there to the right. Just make a plan so that it's easy for the two of you to connect there.
Yeah. Could I interject here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jay? Okay. When we started early voting this week, we had wait times up to 3 hours. We had one of our drivers that was 3 hours waiting. We had a number of drivers that was an hour and a half, 2 hours waiting. This is the first time we've had experienced that. So our operations is that we return that voter home. But waiting an hour and a half or 2 hours for that individual to go vote when you might be able to go pick up someone else, particularly someone that may be coming to that same polling site, is something that I think we want to, consider instead of waiting if you really felt the lines were long. So what I'm going to ask all poll drivers to do is to have flyers in your car with the hotline number, and you tell that individual when they go in that there's this long line there. There's a long line, it's a long wait line, and you let them know, I may go pick up another person. I want you to call this number when you get finished. If you get finished before I get back, I'm going to be parked near the tree. You're going to see my car magnet when I come out. I'll be there. But let's say you get out before I get back, you call this line to hotline and let them know you're waiting at the polls to get home, and we'll get you home. Okay, that's what we're going to do if we get the experience of wait times that would be up to an hour and a half. That's a departure from how we've normally operated. So you have to gauge whether you think it's going to be, if it's a half-hour wait, that's fine. Wait half hour, but we're not going to be waiting a couple of hours with you just sitting there. If you've got other rides you can take, okay?
Yeah, and I would just emphasize that, but before you do anything, call the war room.
Yes.
And double check, or let's talk it through what to do there. But yeah, when it's with those longer lines, we definitely don't want you just sitting there 2-3 hours. But that please just coordinate with us in the war room to know what's the plan here. Okay.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you, Dave.
Yep. So at this stage, you've come to the polling location. The voter goes inside. The standard plan is for you to wait for the voter. At that stage, then the voter comes out. They've completed their ballot, and then they're ready to return home. In which case, in the app, you just click on POB again, passenger on board, that you're ready to go to the return location. Then once you get to the drop-off location in the app, the next stage is to click on delivered. At that point, you've completed the ride within the app, within sort of the call center and dispatch. We see that your vehicle is now free. What you'll see this screen right here where you are available and it's set away or a street pick. The best thing to do is just click that little house up at the top. That will bring you back to the main screen, and you've completed all the rides there. I would say more times than not, what will be is, the pickup location and the drop-off location is the voter's home address. There are cases where we pick people up at like work and then we bring them back home, so it doesn't always match. And we're willing to be, accommodating, but we're not like a chauffeur service where if they say, "Oh, can you just stop at Target, over here on the way home," or can I go to Walgreens? Where we try to be accommodating, but you guys also aren't like the chauffeurs of letting them taking them on errands either. So that's the general overall process. The main thing that the other important thing is when you're done with your shift, it's key that you just stop your shift and sign out. And otherwise, what you will show up on the screen is still signed in, and we think that you're still available for rides, and we might be sending ride requests out to you. And so that just sort of creates confusion from us within, the operation. So it's important that you always end your shift. Now, if it's your last ride, one other thing that's important is make sure that you hit delivered before you sign out. Sometimes the drivers don't hit deliver and they sign out, and so the ride looks like it's still sort of active, but we don't have anyone signed into the car. So just make sure you kind of work through these steps of like you've completed the ride, you hit delivered, and then you're done for the day, and then you can sign out of your shift there. Okay. So then that's the process. Now, what we will do after this training session, as we said earlier, is we'll get everyone who's not in the system, we'll get you set up with an account in Taxi Caller. And again, it'll be, you'll use the company ID as Souls, your username, first name, underscore last name. The password is that STTP 2023 exclamation point. So probably by end of day tomorrow, we should have everyone in the system. And then you can just start accessing the app there. And then the goal for this tech session is for anyone that, think of it as more of like office hours, and we can handle it within this 90 minutes, or we could you could jump into that session and we can coordinate a separate time where the real goal is for us to if you have any questions, we can set up like a test ride or a dummy ride and assign it to you, so you can click through the app and get a sense of like the steps that you need to do to manage the app there. Like, Gary, did you have a question?
Yeah, two questions. I'm signed up for a 10 to 2 shift. If I have more time, should I just hang around and do more rides, or will you automatically be taking me off because that's the shift that I signed up for? And my second question is, on the chat, it says that you're going to try to be able to pick up those handouts with the numbers for the hotline when we pick up signs, but I've already picked up my signs. So what should I do?
That was for election day. They will be there on, if you're working election day, anyone who's working election day, the flyers will be there on election day. They won't be there before then. So if you do run into a wait situation, I'm not looking, hopefully we won't have long wait times even on election day. And I understand that things are getting better now since the first few days of early voting. So we're not expecting long wait times. If you don't have a flyer, then give them the number. So you should have the number in your phone someplace where you know what the number is. And then you can tell the voter what the number is, or you can call the war room and get the number to assign to your, give to your voter if you need to do that before election day.
How are they going to get to us before then? That's the question.
They're not getting to you before then. They're not getting to, we're not having them before then. As I was saying, they're there on election day. This is mainly for election day congestion that we're expecting. That could happen. That could happen. It's sort of a mitigation.
Yeah, right. No, where is there?
It's at the hub where you picked up the magnets, maybe the 734 North 26th Street. But if you guys,
I picked them up from the gentleman's house.
I will be sending all of that information via email. Please look at your emails. Make sure you read thoroughly. We will make sure that all of this is covered with you, where you're going to pick up flyers, when they're going to be there for you to pick up, and what you need to do in the interim before you get flyers.
Okay, great. And what about if my shift is over and you still need drivers? Should I do anything?
Your shift, you're on today. You can sign off. Yeah, I think you can.
No. So on election day, I'm scheduled from 10 till 2, but I might be able to work longer.
Stanley, you want to go into the war room for that? This is a training. You've been through the training. Were you here for the training?
I was.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no. So Gary, and I can answer this for everyone in general. Like during the election day, we'll have a lot more volume of rides. We'll have a lot more volunteers, and I think if you're looking to stay longer, you can just stay longer. That there's never an issue with that. If you want to check in to see if it's okay to sign off because there's, we have coverage with drivers, you can always just call into the war room and then, ask to speak to, like Norma, myself, or any of the other people who are kind of working through the operations, and we can just let coordinate on the situation.
Okay, great. Thank you.
When I think I talked to Norma on the phone, and when I talked to her on the phone, she said there were already over 250 drivers for election day, and she wasn't sure that I and a friend of mine would be needed. When do we find that out?
I was saying, Vicki, there were 250 volunteers that included the call center. So yeah. But the reason we opened up this training is because we need additional volunteers. So the thing is, I want to make this very clear. And you guys may need to decide, particularly if you're not in Wisconsin. I don't want people using your gas, your time, or your effort if you don't think, or you're concerned, not don't think, because we can't clarify. But if you are concerned that you may not be used enough, that you won't get enough ride volume to make it worth coming, you need to make the decision that maybe your time is better used elsewhere. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to assign some Illinois people in Racine and Kenosha. I absolutely cannot guarantee how busy you're going to be there. It could be one ride for the entire day. It could be 2 rides. We don't know. It's like you don't know who's going to show up at the polls. You don't know who's going to show up to call us for rides. We can't give you a spot to go stand and pick up people ride after ride after ride. That's not how it works.
Is there a historic number of how many
If I
rides
can finish,
per volunteer?
let me just finish. We're trying to cover ourselves with enough volunteers so that we don't have to close the hotline if there is a need. We had to close our hotline in April because we had more need than we had volunteers. We're trying to cover the spread. I'm always concerned that I'm not keeping my volunteers busy enough, but I can't guarantee that you will be busy. All I can ask you to do, and if you're in Milwaukee, if you live in Milwaukee, you can stay home until you get your ping for your shift. You can sign into a shift. You don't have to leave your home. You just wait and see if you get a ping. Or you can call into the war room and you can ask us, how busy are you today? What does it look like? What does the volume look like? do I need to stick around? Can I leave? We can let you know that. But that's the only way we can operate here in terms of how we do this, to try to make sure we're covered. We have enough volunteers for what the need may be, and that you understand that we can't guarantee how busy you may or may not be on any given shift.
Ask a question.
What's the war room number? Is that the same as the hotline?
No, the war room is a link. It's a link. You're in the war room now, ostensibly. The war room is a link that you use to connect. So that link is open. And when you click on that link to go to a Zoom link, then there's someone there. And we just simply call that the war room. We can say, come to a Zoom link, or we can shortcut it and say war room. That's what we do. The war room, though, is a link to that you can come to with your questions. And there, I'm always there. But if I'm, busy, we have other tech people that would be there. Dave can be there as well for your support and to answer questions.
So it's this link right now? It's the same link we're on now?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you'll have the link. I'll send the link out in that email confirming.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to get clarification. Do you need drivers next week or next weekend, or only on election day at this point?
We're not very busy next week, so no, we don't need drivers.
Okay, so mainly people who are on this call now, you really want just Monday and Tuesday of election week, or just Tuesday?
The polls aren't open on Monday, so next week it's only election day.
Okay. So if we're on this call, you really just need people for election day. And if I'm in Chicago, so you would want me to go to Kenosha?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't want you coming up from Chicago next week. But please stay in touch. Check with us
about election day.
But if you're not signed up, if your schedule, if you have not put next week on your schedule, then don't put it on there. Just put on election day. Anyone who's put next week on your schedule, the expectation is that you would be there. And but we'll reach out if it turns out we don't need you.
I'm about to finish up. I have to log into their accounts.
And so, just by way, it's hard for us to predict this as well, but like for early voting, on average, everyone's given a ride for that shift. Some have given, 2, 3, 4 in a day, but it's also been, a little bit variable of how many volunteers are showing up for a particular shift, what are the lines at the polls, and then how many rides do we have scheduled. And also for election day, we will have a better sense of how many rides are pre-scheduled ahead of time. And then from the past, we can have a reasonable forecast of like how many are going to call the day of. And then, as a result, how many drivers we need. But Norma and I are always trying to juggle of like how many volunteers actually, show up, even if they're on the shift, how many rides they're going to be. And we're trying to, balance it all out with everything. So, but for election day, when in doubt, you can contact us the day before, especially if you're coming in out of town, and we can either give you a better sense of what the volume would be, or also offer up maybe if we've got some needs in Racine and Kenosha as well.
Okay, I have only Monday afternoon available. Should I just forget this election cycle?
Are you already on the schedule?
No, apparently not. I thought I was, but I'm not.
I'd say if you maybe follow up with Norma or myself afterwards, and we can coordinate about that.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about that problem with the delays?
Let me open the door.
Yeah, yes, Stan?
Yeah, if you know there's going to be a 2-hour delay once you get your voter to the polls, I guess it's a two-part question. Is it possible that you would actually, you're supposed to make a call first to Norma to find out what you do?
Yep.
Is it
Yeah,
possible that you would be given another ride while that person is at the polls? And if that was the case,
Don't pull away yet. Don't pull away yet.
if that was the case, do you sign out then, or what happens to the app, with the first person you've got there?
The good news
So-
for you,
so-
they
so
only
Stan,
need drivers for election
we
day.
were-
Already have enough for early
So-
voting next week.
Okay, can everyone, I won't have to mute everyone again, so unless you want to, I can mute everyone, David, we could just put you back
Yeah.
on. But if you could mute yourself so we don't hear your feedback.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So Stan, your question is, it's a good one. So, there's a practical reason why you have to call the war room, if you do this, because, we will have to reassign the ride from you to someone else to get you to be able to have another incoming ride, in the app. But it's also a logistical thing in that we our default is that it's a round trip ride. So you're waiting at the polling location. And I know it can be fluid and dynamic and change from polling location to polling location of the wait time. And we just want to be, coordinated on what we're doing at which polling location, because and also help us plan for the next ride. So there might be another voter who's going to the exact same polling location in 30 minutes from where you are. And then we can plan ahead with that voter and the other driver of how to handle that situation. So we just need to make sure that we're communicating in those situations.
Right.
And then there's the practical issue that you brought up of we have to reassign that ride from you to someone else for you to leave and get another one coming into the app.
So the first definitely make that phone call before you do anything then.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
How will the voter we dropped off know that someone else is meeting them?
Yeah, I guess the other part of that would be if you actually left, you'd have to let the voter know that you were pulling out or something, because they wouldn't know what was going on if they came out. And you weren't there.
Yeah. So before they get out of the vehicle, if you see very long lines, right, or we give you, we contact you ahead of time saying this polling location has got long lines. Before the voter leaves your vehicle, you need to make sure that that's the plan. When we say there's a plan, right? Hey, I'm dropping you off. I'm going to come back and get you, or one of the other volunteers will get you. And here's, as Norma said, here's the flyer to call. But I don't want us to worry too much about this scenario until, because this is a backup plan if the lines are really long at the polling locations. The base case plan is that you're waiting there with the voter,
right,
and doing a round trip.
Yeah, and let me just interject. When we started this with in 2020, and we used Lyft and Uber to take riders, Lyft and Uber do not wait on anyone. They don't wait for you, right? So every person that we took to the polls at that time knew they had to call the hotline to get a ride back home. Whether they're going to be there 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, they knew they had to call the hotline to get a ride back home. So they're not going to have a problem if you have to say to them, depending on the lines, they'll understand that and we can also mitigate that in the call center. We can also say to them, if there, we will get you back home. But if there are long lines there, your poll driver may leave, and we need you to call the hotline when you're finished so we can get someone back there to pick you up. So we'll be able to cover that. But like Dave said, that's only, in case that happens. We're only factoring that in because it happened this week. It may not happen at all again, so I don't want you to make it top of mind. Just know that we offer round trip rides. We pick people up and we get them home.
Okay, good.
So I know we're getting at the end of the scheduled time. We can stay on for additional questions, but there's an important detail that we haven't covered just real fast on the decals that you can place on your car to signify that you're with Souls to the Polls. There is you can pick up those car magnets on October 31st from 1 to 3 at this address. This will be information that Norma sends out. She'll also share Mark's phone number that you can call him to coordinate if you're not available for that 31st, or if your first shift starts before the 31st with that. So that'll be the way to coordinate on the magnets. If you're working tomorrow, Norma, the volunteers can pick up the magnets at the caravan, at the start of the caravan. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, at the start of the caravan. Now, we only need 2 or 3 additional caravan drivers, but even if you're not driving in the caravan and you still want to pick up car magnets over there, if you get over there between 12:30, between 12 and 1, you could pick them up then. Or you can call Mark to get them if you can't do it on Thursday. But you can pick them up this Thursday between 1 and 3 at this address, or you can use this same address to pick them up on Election Day.
And if we're coming from out of town on Election Day,
then you should come to this address and you can get them.
Is that Milwaukee?
Pardon?
Is that in Milwaukee?
Well, are you driving in Milwaukee or are you coming to Racine?
I would prefer Racine.
Okay. Then I need to look at making arrangements for that. I don't have that, but I'm going to be identifying the Racine and Kenosha drivers. And once I do, then we'll communicate about how you can get car magnets.
Okay.
Hello?
Yep.
Hi. Does anybody else have questions? Because I'll try to ask questions in order of everybody wanting to know the answer, but does anybody else want to ask a question?
Just go for it. Just go for it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm going for it. Sorry, I'm a teacher, so I'm just like, is everybody done? No, sorry. So this is probably somewhere in something that I haven't read, but I'm sure other people haven't read things. What about extra people, especially kids, especially with safety measures? I have driven around a lot of places in Milwaukee where they don't have a car seat or a booster seat. And I don't know if we're supposed to, what are we supposed to do if, like, oh, I have to take care of my grandma, so she's coming with me and she's, yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, can I answer that? Is that the extent of the question? What do you do with extra passengers? Is that
whether they told the war room or not, especially if kids aren't. I'm a huge seatbelt person.
I understand, Stephanie. Let me answer your question, okay? Thank you.
Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So sometimes actually we do get assignments in the call center that they're going to be taking a friend to vote. Generally they are going to the same polling place. So if they're taking a friend, we'll put that information in there for you. Sometimes they will also tell us that they have, we haven't heard a lot of children, that they have children, because most of our voters are older people. If they have children, they're usually adult children or teenagers. But if someone comes to your car and they've got a baby, they come to vote and they've got a baby, you would let them know that you can drive them, but you don't have a car seat. So they would have to have their own car seat. They would have to bring the car seat with them. If they can bring the car seat and help get it hooked up, you may be fine with taking the baby, but you cannot take the baby without the car seat, and you can't provide the car seat. So you just explain that to them. And then you may say, well, listen, why don't you call the hotline and see if they can reschedule a ride for you or help you in some way. But I can help you. So that's how you would handle that. If grandma has someone to help them, then you would take that person to help grandma, maybe with the walker or with the, if she's with the cane or whatever, you would want to take that person along with them, and you'd want to find out if they can vote. Are they voting? If they're adults, if it's a teenager, no. But if it's an adult, you want to just ask them, well, are you voting today? Have you voted already? Let's get you to vote. And so you try to accommodate that person in that way. Did I cover all the different scenarios of who might be coming to the car?
Pretty much. You just can't let people in that can't be strapped in. So
you can't let people in that you can't accommodate.
Exactly.
But you could, if you can accommodate a walker, if you can accommodate, a person with a cane, everyone who's coming to your vehicle has to be a mobile. They have to be able to get into a car. And we would ask them, can you get into a car? If they can't get into a car, or if they're in a wheelchair, we have an alternative process to pick those people up. So we can provide them rides. They're just not going with you.
Okay. So I moved outside of Rockford, which is due south of Madison. But so if we're out of towners, do we just try to, if I'm driving, I don't even know if you guys need me on the phone more probably, but if I do need a car magnet, is that just something I call you about and we deal with it, I guess?
Yeah, I'll give you the phone number of the person who does the car magnets, and you can reach out to him directly about
that. And then
a final question, Stephanie.
Okay. When you say 10 minutes, you're waiting for them for 10 minutes. Are you calling them after 5 minutes, or like what's the 10 minutes of waiting?
Well, you might call them once, and then maybe you'll call them at 5 minutes, or you'll call them at 5, or you'll call them once and you'll call them in 10 minutes.
Okay.
But you're not, the upshot is you're giving them about 10 minutes to answer the phone. You want to make it maybe at least a couple of calls to them.
Okay.
Because if they're going to vote, we need to emphasize in the call center that they will be getting a call from their poll driver, and they need to pick up the phone or they may miss their ride. So we'll make sure that they understand that.
And it's certainly it's coming from a number that they won't recognize. And so sometimes they won't answer it the first time, just out of, security. Right. But so that's why just a little bit of patience, and then try back again. And then, but not, as Norma said, after like 10 minutes or so, if they're not picking up, then we'll notify the war room, the call center, and they'll reach out to the voter, and we'll get you the next ride from there.
Yeah, and you're leaving a message when you call them. So when you call, you're leaving a message, and if they, if they are available, they're going to hear that message and say, "Oh, darn, I need, this call is important. I need to get this call."
Do we text them too?
No, you do not.
No?
Text.
Okay.
Yeah, you do not text.
Okay.
So before we log off, is there anything we need to do to confirm that we attended this session, or to make sure that our names are on the taxi call app or on the schedule?
I'm going to make sure. I send out so many emails. I cannot remember if I sent the schedule with this invite. Did I do that? Do you have the schedule link with the invite?
Yes, there was. I was unable to schedule. They wanted me to volunteer both for the call center and for the driving, and I only wanted to do the driving.
It would not have asked you to do both. We need you to only do one or the other.
Yeah, I couldn't submit it for some reason. I'll try again.
Yeah.
But I do
Yeah,
have a
again,
question.
let me explain the submission process. When you go through your questions, there are several questions where there's a required answer. Give you an example. We're asking on that same form for virtual call center volunteers, and we're asking for poll driver volunteers. Now, those questions are not required, so they shouldn't be a stumbling block. But if there's a required question and it's not applicable to you, it's a question where their choices are not applicable, then there's a not applicable selection. And if it's a required question, it has to be answered. It has to be answered with something. So you just click on the not applicable because it doesn't apply to you. You don't want to answer the other questions, yes, no, or maybe. You want to not applicable. When you click on not applicable for that answer, you've satisfied that requirement of that question. And that should allow you then to submit.
Okay.
Complete the document and submit. So you have to just check all of your required questions and make sure you've answered something, even if it's just not applicable.
I think with the most recent email, we don't have an updated Google Doc though with necessarily all of our names and our shifts. So I'm just wondering if there's any other step besides submitting that form that we've already submitted that we need to do to confirm we attended today's training.
I didn't quite understand that question.
So Erica, we know who's attended here, so we'll make sure that everyone's attended is added to the list of getting you access to Taxi Caller.
Okay.
And then as a follow-up, we'll also make sure, as Norma said, to resend out the link to on the schedule to sign up for that.
But let me just say from this meeting on, from this training on, I'm only communicating with people who have signed up on the schedule. When you sign up on the schedule, you said to me that you're interested in this process. You can attend this training and not complete the schedule, or you could complete the schedule and I think you're interested, even though you may decide you're not interested. You're still going to get the communication. So everyone who's completed that schedule and said,
which Norma,
the schedule that's in the form.
By schedule, you mean the Google form, right, Norma, that you
Yeah.
were just talking about with all the required fields?
Yes, with all the required fields.
So
yes.
the form, and then the result of that form is that at some point in this next 3 days, the people who are on this call will be added to the schedule, which is a read-only document that you can view on Google Drive. And you will get that link and you will see where you have been assigned. And it should correspond to what you filled out on the form, right?
Yes, yeah.
So,
and Erica, I do see you on for election day on the.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for confirming. I just wanted to make sure I followed all the steps since I do have to log off now. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Yep.
Can I ask a question? Is it okay now?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay, so is there someone at the call center or the scheduling center who will ascertain that the voter is registered or has all his or her materials required to register at the polls?
Yes, we do ask that question. Now,
Good.
sometimes you will end up with a voter who is not, gets to the polls and find out that they're not registered or they didn't bring the documents, even though they might have known they needed to register. They didn't have the correct documents. We do ask you to try to accommodate that voter to, if they can go back home and get what they've been told to get, that you'll take them back home and bring them back to the site. Also, I've gotten a quick request for someone needing an ID at DMV before they can vote. and I will try to get poll drivers to assist that person with the DMV. But we try to be as accommodating as we can to voters if we find out that someone doesn't have the proper documentation and they can go home and come back.
Yeah, and Christina, what we always recommend is like once they get in your car, just ask them of did you remember to bring a proper ID to vote. But we're not in a place to verify it, so that if they say yeah I'm all good, then you just trust them.
It's on them. Okay.
Yeah.
It's on them.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a quick question, and maybe I missed it. But how do we know what polling location to go to once we've picked up the driver?
That'll be in the ride itself. Here, let me share something else. But this is the taxi caller from the call center view, and so you can see over here on there's 3 addresses. It's the 1728 East Newport, which is the pickup, and it's also the drop off. That middle address is the polling location, and when it's scheduled for election day, when it's scheduled, the process is the call center volunteer will go to myvote.gov and put in the voter's address to pull up the proper polling location, and we will put it into the in the ride itself. So it should all be confirmed beforehand. It's always, you can always tell the voter like, hey, we're off to, Alma School for your polling location before you head out. But that's always confirmed for you on election day. For early voting, there's a handful of 10 sites that are available, and at the time of scheduling, then we talk to the voter, just say, it looks like this location is most convenient for you. Does that work? So that's all sort of decided ahead of time for the ride.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Norma, you're going to say something?
Yeah, can you click on one of those cars or one of the buttons there? Click on over to your right. The green, click on one of those. See, this is the car. This is the information here. And does it have the information for the polling site there, or just the?
Not on this. It's just with the car, but you can see over here on the job itself that in this particular one of the middle address there, and that'll be in the app for you.
It should be on your app. Yeah.
Yep.
So once you start the ride, the directions will just go. You'll just follow the flow of basically what the app asks you to do.
Yeah, exactly. And so I recognize it's a little counterintuitive, because when you get the ride coming in, it just shows you the pickup and the drop off location. So here, let me go back to the PowerPoint for you. And that's and then you will only see the middle location after you've accepted the ride there. But when the job comes in, it always will look like, pick up, drop off, same place. And then you accept it, and then you'll see that middle location. But it'll as you keep flowing through the steps in the app, it'll show you the next address that you need to go to.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but the app is not like it's not like Google Maps, where it's going to give you directions. Drive 3/4 a mile here, turn left there. It doesn't do that, right? It just
if you activate the GPS or the map part of it, it'll pull up the Google Maps or Apple Maps, and it'll give you those directions for the driver.
Oh, that's good.
I have a question. Oops. Maybe
sure.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I did download now, like you said, the taxi caller shuttle.
Okay.
And I put in the same information that I had for the other taxi caller one that wasn't shuttle. But the password thing, I don't know what I have is capital S small t, small t, small p.
No,
two-
capital P.
Capital P, yeah.
Oh, it's a capital P.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Maybe that was why it wasn't working. And then 2023 exclamation point.
Correct.
Okay, so it's capital S, lower t, capital P, 2023 exclamation point.
2034.
2034.
Yeah.
I have 2023.
2023 exclamation point.
2023.
2023. Okay, good. Now, and then the tech session is Wednesday, October 30th from 5 to 6:30.
Yeah.
And how do I get onto that?
So that'll be the same Zoom link, but it'll be shared in a follow-up email as well. But that's Norma will send out that link for you, but it's the same link as this.
Okay, and then in that one, the tech center one, is that when you will send us a fake, like how we do it so we can walk through one?
Yeah, that's the goal there. If you and so the reason why we have it for 90 minutes, if like 50 people all show up at 5:01 looking for a test, we can only send so many test rides out at once.
Sure.
So we're sort of staggering it out there. And then we'll individually we'll make sure that you get a test ride so you can see what's in the app.
Now, I noticed on some of the cars that you pick, it says the number of passengers. Now, we can only take like 3 passengers, and one would have to be like a small child because we've got somebody else, helping.
Oh no! So those are all like default things within taxi caller. So those vehicles are like a virtual vehicle. They have nothing to do with your real vehicle. They're all like kind of
okay, and that we would add into the taxi caller one somewhere.
So as long as you can take a 2 to 3 people in your vehicle, then you're fine. We're almost very rarely do we have
more than that.
More than that, and it would be in the notes for the job. And if it's like say 4 or 5, we'll flag that and we'll find like a specific driver for those situations.
Okay, and if we wanted to sign up for more shifts, we're currently signed up on the election day from 7 to 11.
Okay.
Now, if we wanted to sign up for more, would we do that in that form? Would we have to change the schedule thing, that thing we fill out? I don't know.
So the form that Norma will send out, it is view only, but you can add in comments. So if there was specific shifts that you wanted to add in there, you can leave a comment, and like Jody or Norma or myself or someone else will monitor that and get back to you on it.
Okay.
And the reason why it's view only is because we've got maybe hundreds of people who are looking at it, and we don't want like people inadvertently like changing things around or accidentally deleting something.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, so have we gotten everybody's questions answered today?
I've got one more question, Norma.
Okay, Scott.
I really appreciate you guys. You're so well prepared. And I'm thinking about switching from driving to being on the call center because I could do more remotely. How do I communicate that to you if I do decide to switch in the next couple of days? How do I do that properly?
Yeah, Scott, did you go to that call center training? were you here?
Earlier today, yeah, I was on the call center training
Oh, good.
a couple hours ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you want to switch, and have you completed your form to schedule you?
That's just it. I completed the online form and I said driving only.
Right. Well, let me check your form and see if I've got a call center. I can send it to you again and you can sign up under the call center with your availability.
If you would send it to me again, just in case, I have to confirm some logistics. I'm not positive, and that's why I'm asking how I would do it if I decide. But if you send it to me again, then I can update it.
Okay.
If I do decide to stay with driving, do I need to send it back to you or just leave it as is?
Leave it as is.
No, yeah,
It's fine.
leave it as
Yeah.
is. When you sign it, I get it automatically. Yeah.
Okay, great. Send it to me then, please. I have to confirm some logistics, and I'm not sure, but it does sound like I could be of more use on the call center. And since Monday's not a day to drive people, and election day is when you really need them, coming all the way there for one day may not be as good a use of my time as being on the call center. And I heard you loud and clear on that.
Yeah, we can definitely use you in the call center. Thanks, Scott.
Okay, thank you very much. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's all Dave.
No, yeah, it's the opposite.
No,
Opposite.
It's both of you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I won't take up more of your
opposite.
time, but I think you're great.
I have a question too. This is Pam. I was working and I was very late for the training and I'm on the call center. Is the video going to be available?
Yes, the video will be available, Pam. But for the call center, the demo is probably the best thing. You've been here before. You kind of know how it works. The only thing different from 2020 when you started is that we got volunteers now that we're scheduling, not Lyft. And but watch the demo, and then that will probably serve you better.
And is the demo link available? But could I do both of them because
sure, you can have both. It's yeah.
One, so I liked it, a lot of repetition.
Sure, absolutely. Okay.
Thank you. And the links will be available?
Yes, they'll be sent to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for everything you're doing, and you guys are awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Darren, you guys love being on this Zoom call here, right? I think I'm done. Dave, you got more to say?
No, I'm good from my end.
So I think we're done. Let's get started and see if we can get as many of you onboarded as possible. And again, thank you all so much for showing up. We just so appreciate.
Norma, before you go,
okay,
this is Dina.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Dina, let's get you after.
Yeah, I'll hang on, but don't leave
you're
me.
working, right? Yeah, Dina's working, so she's a war room person. Yeah, so I think that's probably it for today. So but again, we really appreciate all of you, and give us an opportunity to get you all onboarded. Watch for if you're in the call center, watch for the email that tells you to sign up for that Tovio. And then for those of you who are doing taxi caller, check into your app. Probably Monday, things should be, you should all be signed up. So check it then, and let us know if you're still having problems. But if you really want to get to us the quickest, it would be best to use your war room link, and then that's more immediate than an email that may take me a while to follow up on, since I'm getting hundreds of them.
Real quick, since I do know how to get from Milwaukee to Illinois places, I know you just said that your email is like packed. Did you still want the war room for me to write something out? I mean, I can make a little guide for stuff. And then I was going to ask about passing out snacks. Kindles are really good because nobody wants to knock on your door and steal your Kindle. And
Well,
I'll help you with data entry. Just let me know.
Okay.
And that's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah. But is email the best still, even though you get a billion of them? Or I don't know.
Yeah, well, email me and I'll try to follow up as soon as I can.
No,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All
Yeah.
right. I'm done.
Okay. All righty. So, Dina, I'm going to, do you see a war room link there to go into the breakout room? So guys, I am going to jump off here. And, again, look for emails. And, contact me if you don't see it. You do have the war room link, I think, in the earlier email. So you can always use that to get to me if you don't see everything you need to see in the next couple of days. All righty.
Okay.
Bye-bye now. So, Dina,
Thank you.
do you see a breakout room link?
okay, yeah, I'm at the 333
Yeah,
3332 North
take the
3rd Avenue,
breakout room
and
link
no
so we
one's
can.
here, and they did not answer my calls.
Okay, take the breakout room link so we can talk about it. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Hang on.
It says war room
Yeah,
join.
I'm sorry.
Dave, we can follow up later. Okay. Unless you're sticking around for a bit.
Norma,
Yes.
it's Candace. This is unrelated to training. I was trying to log into Telzio and apparently I didn't write down my password and I need to reset my password. Is there someone who can it said it'd send me an email, but it's not going to send me an email. I think it's sending somebody on your end an email.
Okay. Is this your? Have you been on before, or
I haven't. And I thought my computer remembered my password, but it didn't. And so I tried to remember what it was because for some reason I didn't write it down. And now I can't get in because I have no idea what it is. And it said I could reset it, but it would send me an email. But I don't think it's sending me an email because I keep checking my email and there's nothing.
And you're saying this is Candace?
Yeah, Candace. I just need to reset my Telzio password and then I'm good to go.
I will go in there and check it for you, and I'll send you another email to. Okay.
To set up a new password. Okay, awesome. That's all I need. And then I can start making calls.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Okay, Dina.